Hey guys, it's Mrs. DeFreya. I'm just trying to get some videos in for you to go along with each lesson. We have what we call the quadratic formula. This right here is the quadratic formula. This is never something that you'll have to remember. This is always found on your reference sheet. Your reference sheet is a sheet that you'll get on your Regents. It comes on your Regents, so you never ever have to remember this information. This is always given to you. Okay, what you need to know are the pieces, the A, the B, and the C that you have to fill in for there, and how to type it into the calculator. Honestly, that's completely it for the quadratic formula. So if you are solving a quadratic, which is what we've been doing the whole week before we had a week off, I guess. We did it by factoring. We did the square root method. And what was the other one? Completing the square. So, you know, if you remember that, we're going to continue off of this. This is just another way to solve and find the zeros of a quadratic. Okay. So here, for the do now, it's just asking me to figure out what the A, the B, and the C is. Just a reminder that I'm holding my phone, FYI, because my clip that I used to like do a video for, if like I was doing a document camera, is in my classroom, and I obviously can't get in there. So I have another one on order, but bear with me because this has to be up for Monday, and my clip from Amazon isn't coming till Wednesday. So just remember that in front of an X or in front of a variable, if there's nothing there, the coefficient is actually a 1. Okay. So for me, I'm going to fill out my A, my B, and my C. What I'd like to point out to you is that notice everything is to one side of the equation, and I have it set equal to 0. All right, so my A is going to be a 1. My B is going to be a -5, right? It's -5, so it's a -5. And then I have a +10 right here. So that's +10, I'm sorry, +11. So my C is an 11. Okay, you could put a plus sign in front of it for +11, whatever works best for you. Okay, notice all the terms are on one side together. I have it set equal to f of x. It's the same. If I were to find the zeros, I'm just going to do 0 equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. And now I can figure out my A, my B, and my C. Okay, so my A is going to be a 2, my B is going to be a 4, and my C is going to be a -3. All right, just remember that your A is always in front of the x squared, your B is always in front of the x, your C is always the number that's by itself. Okay. The last one's a little bit tricky because there's not 3 terms. Everything is over to one side, is already set equal to 0. So I'm already set up to be able to do my A, my B, and my C. Remember that the A is in front of the x squared, so that's my 3. This C is the number that's by itself, so that's 8. But there's no x terms. That means that's a 0 right there. Okay. All right, this part right here, to find the zeros of a quadratic algebraically, there are many methods we could choose from. We have used factoring. We did the square root method, and we did completing the square. You guys did really good with that. We could use a quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equation. It works every single time. So that means if it comes out to be a really long decimal, or if it doesn't factor and you can't figure out how to factor it appropriately, you can always go to the quadratic formula, and it works with any single one as long as you have all the terms to one side of the equation. All you need to know are the A, the B, and the C, and you use the equation right here. One thing I want to make sure you realize is the -B means that you do the opposite sign of what B is, okay? And we'll practice with that in a moment. All right, moving on. I'm just going to do a couple of examples, and then I'll kind of help you out, explain how I want you guys to do your homework and stuff like that. I know this is going to be a learning curve for us all. Just trying to keep you guys on track so that we can not lose any days at school. All right, so make sure you have it in standard form. That means everything over to one side. Figure out your A, your B, and your C. So here I'm going to have my A as a 1, my B as a 2, and my C as a -15. Oops. Okay. Step 3 says fill it into the quadratic formula. So write out the quadratic formula. I think it's a great idea to always actually write it out. So it's going to be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And the reason why I want you guys to write that out, first of all, you get 1 point just for knowing which piece to use or what to use to solve. So that's a point right there. The second thing is it just allows you to visually see without going back and forth to your reference sheet. Now you have your work right there in front of you. You know, you can see, okay, I have to have my b. I'm going to put my b in the b place. Okay. Again, negative b means you're doing the opposite sign. So I'm going to have x equals negative, my b is 2, so it's a negative 2, plus or minus the square root, b squared, so it's 2 squared minus 4 ac, so 1 and negative 15, all over 2 times 1. Okay, now if you guys downloaded the calculator onto your computer or onto your iPad, the same one that we use at school, it's going to be exactly the same. I have this one on my iPad. I'm going to show you guys how to utilize this one right here if you downloaded it onto your phone. Okay, so I'll get started with that. So when you guys are here, you're going to type it into the calculator. You're going to type it in 2 ways, and I'll show you a shortcut when you're typing it in, but you're going to have x equals negative 2 plus square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 15 all over 2 times 1. And then you're going to have it again over here, but you have, say, plus or minus. So right here I have just the plus. Over here I'm going to have just the minus. So it's going to be negative 2 minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 15. The only thing that changed, folks, is that minus sign right there. Okay, sorry, that's a 2 times 1. All right. Now, all right, so I'm going to try to pick up where I left off here, see if I can merge the videos, but sorry, got cut off by a phone call. All right, so I'm going to first type this one into the calculator. This is the one that I told you guys to download onto your phones. It looks like this, so I'm going to type it into there. So you're going to have, it works pretty much the same as the calculator that we have at school. The issue is when you're typing this into this calculator, they don't have like that fraction thing that we have, or at least I wasn't able to get it to work. So you need to just put a set of parentheses around the numerator and then a separate set of parentheses around the denominator. And I'll show you exactly how to type that in. All right, so it's gonna go a big set of parentheses and it types up here, negative 2 plus the square root, sorry, switch hands, the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 15. Now you have to exit out of that square root, just like we do at school. You're going to exit out of that square root right there, and then I can close the parentheses, right? And that gives me my whole numerator grouped together. That gives me a whole numerator grouped together. And then I'm going to divide by my whole denominator. Open my parentheses, 2 times 1. And then we have an extra set of parentheses right here, right? So I have the 1 in its own set of parentheses, and then I have to close the parentheses of the denominator. So I'm going to do that right here. And then I hit enter. And it gives me 3, okay? So I get, one of my answers is going to be x equals 3. Now, so that I don't have to type that whole mess in again, I'm going to just go right here and get this into the calculator. The shortcut is, pay attention, you're gonna go second and you're gonna hit the enter button right here, okay? That allows me to retype in exactly what I have over here. I'm gonna just try to get my cursor over here. Now you want to go in front of the plus sign, in front. You want to go in front of the plus sign and hit the delete button. And I can hit the minus sign then, and it changes it. Man, I think I messed something up there. I'll get it all fixed out. I think I hit delete 2 times by accident, but what we're going to do, how is this happening? All right, either way, I'll fix that in a moment. But you would just hit the delete button 1 time, get the plus sign gone, and fill in the minus sign, okay? I'm just gonna clear it out, type it in real quick. Minus the square root 2 squared minus. Okay, and then when I hit enter, I get a -6. So this answer right here is a -6. Rewrite that sloppy. Okay, so the answer, the zeros for this quadratic equation is a 3 and a -6. Notice that when you don't have to do this necessarily, but if you're going to write this out like that, you have to use your squigglies. Do not use parentheses. A lot of you use parentheses, and that turns out to be incorrect because that's a coordinate. Okay, you want to write it as a set. All right, here, the only issue is it's not set equal to 0. So for me to do this, I have to get that 2 over to the other side. We want it to be equal to 0, just like in our example. So I have to do -2, -2. So I'm going to have x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, now we have to figure out our A, our B, and our C. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals -3. Again, I know it's obnoxious. It's going to get annoying. You're going to write the quadratic equation. So it's going to be x equals -b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, this way it works right there. I give you a point just for knowing which formula to use. And then you're going to go ahead and fill in your A, your B, and your C. Okay, so I'm going to type it in. I'm going to do it 2 separate times. X equals -2 plus, right? I have a plus version and a minus version. Okay, so I have a plus version over here. So it's 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times -3 all over 2 times 1. This side's going to get my minus version. X equals -2 minus b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so I'm just filling in for my variables there. All divided by 2 times a. Now remember, the numerator gets its own set of parentheses, and the denominator gets its own set of parentheses when I'm typing it here into the calculator. Okay, so I'm going to go big set of parentheses, -2 plus the square root make sure you get out of the square root first, close the parentheses, then you do your fraction bar, which in this case is going to be our divided by, open a set of parentheses, 2 times 1, close for the 1, close for the whole denominator. And I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to get a 1 for this part right here. So x equals 1. Okay, moving over to the other one. I'm going to try this again. Let's see if it works for me this time. So I'm going to hit second entry. I'm going to go right to the front of the plus sign. Make sure I hit delete 1 time. And now I'm going to put in a minus sign. All right. And when I hit enter, it gives me my answer of -3. Okay, and I just put that there. If you wanted to write, you're fine if you leave the answers like this. If you want to write the answers in a solution set, make sure you use a squiggly. So you're going to have a 1 and a -3, close your squigglies. Okay, you don't have to do this step right here. All right, let's check out what's next. These are a whole bunch of examples. Here, you're just going to have x squared minus 5x equals 0. It's in standard form. It said equal to 0. I don't have anything lingering on this side of the equation. Now, I have an a, which is 1, a b, which is always in front of the x, which is a -5. I don't have a number that's by itself, so my c there is 0. Okay? Example 5 real quick. How you would start this one is by getting that 7 over to the other side. So you'd have to do +7, and then write it in standard form. So you're going to have x squared minus 8x plus 7 is equal to 0. And then you would go ahead and fill into your quadratic formula. Now, here's what I expect you guys to do for your homework. So this, just your first step is just to rewrite this so it's equal to 0. Okay, you're going to list out your A equals, your B equals, your C equals. Okay, and fill it into your quadratic formula. You're going to write your quadratic formula, fill in for it, and then split it into the plus side and the minus side, and then type them each into the calculator. Now, to get credit for the homework, since we're online, I want you to take a picture of your homework, and I believe you can just post it. It'll just tell me that you did it. So if you take a picture right on your phone, you should be able to upload it right from your phone. In terms of printing these out, if you have a printer at home and you want to do the work like that, that's fine. If you kind of want to just look at it from a computer side and write it down as you go, I'm fine with that too. Just do whatever you can, the best you can. I'll be able to follow your work. Just for the homework, do me a favor, write the question so that I can actually follow along your homework if you're not going to print it out. And that's really it. Just message me on Remind if you have any questions. You would text the number 8101010. And in the message part, you're going to do at Alge Defraia. So it's at ALGDEFRAIA. I'll try to be in touch with you guys as much as I can. All right, guys, good luck. Let me know if I can help. Bye.